So my name is Pastor Keragori John. My church is Seventh Adventist Church, Leicester Hill. How many know Leicester Hill? Thank you. I can see some hands. That is the church that I come from. And in that church, I'm working closely currently with the pastor known as Otwera Lucas Otwera. So 2004, when I moved from Kisii to Nairobi, and we said temporarily known as Upper Hill, I was not an Adventist. But as I progressed the life day, I am an Adventist. And I'm proud to be an Adventist. It's a long story. Maybe I'll communicate that as time goes by in the future, if I come back again. Or if you go to YouTube, probably when you see me preaching, you will see some of the presentation. So children of God, I want to say also thank you so much. You know, in Baraton, where I've come from this morning, I'm happy that one of our lecturers, I don't know if there are two or one, but at least I know of one of our lecturers, who is known as Pastor Malai, a senior lecturer at Baraton. I'm so happy to worship in his church. And Pastor never invited me here. But I thank God because the Lord is good, right? When the right time comes, we always come to worship God, right? And I'm so happy to know a church where my lecturer worships. This is a good church. I was supposed to come here for practicum because towards the end of the year last year, I was doing my practicum as a pastor. But I did not come. But I thank God I did not come. Because God is not what? God is not man. Because when I was preparing to come, there was a lady who had already, done the process to minister here during the practicum. She's known as Miriam, right? Miriam. I don't know if they came two or one, but I think there is someone who came from Baraton here. But I went to Nairobi to do my attachment, the same church where I am, there at Leicester Hill. There's a day I was traveling to this place, Eldoret, to preach somewhere here in Eldoret. And I was traveling from Baraton, there was a lady, we were sitting close on the vehicle I was using. We were interacting. She told me that me I worship at Sunshine. So if you are here and we have ever met, maybe you may not remember because that is 2 years ago. Have we ever met with anyone here? Is there anyone who knows me here in this church? Is there someone who knows me or who has seen me somewhere? Oh, I can see there are some friends there. Thank you so much, my friends. May God bless you so much. So at least I'm not a stranger. All right? So children of God, the Bible says in the book of in the book of Exodus chapter 19, when we start reading from verse 4, or maybe before we read that, we have read, of course, I just want to speak in a little while on the message, communicating hope in a digital world. Tell your friend, communicating hope in a digital world. Communicating hope in a digital world. You see, in the Stone Age period, before the phones came, before the smartphone came, people used to send messages. People used to express their feelings through fire, sometimes various signals to send a message. And so whenever you could see a smoke, there was a message which was being passed. Whenever you could see fire, whenever you could see the sound of a trumpet or a drum, there was a message being sent. And so it progressed. Then we came to the place where now people use camels to go and pass a message to a certain community, to a certain place. Then it came to a time when the pigeon messenger could be used. Then it progressed, then it came to a time now. We had now the World Wide Web. Telephone was invented. And all this is because of communication. And if you look around, we have the smartphones, we have the tablets, and at least everyone here has a way of communicating to his people. Communication is very important. Thank you so much. Communication is very important, children of God. And you see, without communication, we cannot be able to express how we are feeling. Even the person who may not be able to maybe articulate his word because of various reasons, by just seeing the world. And all of us are involved in. So communication is very important. And this church, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, our mission is to communicate the gospel of Jesus Christ. It is because the gospel was communicated to the Adventist. It is because the gospel was communicated, that is why we have opened churches all around this community. It is because of communication, that is why as a family we can be able to live in harmony. Because of communication. So Moses, the children of Israel, when they encamped at Mount Sinai, God passed a message to Moses that was to be communicated also to the children of Israel. And God says in verse 4, Exodus chapter 19 verse 4, you have seen what I did to the Egyptians and how I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Wow. That God is reminding Moses, remember, it is me, God, who brought you out of Egypt. And symbolically, he uses the eagle bird. Verse 5. Now, therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice and keep my covenant, then you shall be a special treasure to me above all people, for all the earth is mine. Wow. Just imagine God speaking to Moses at Mount Sinai through a thick cloud that was filling the whole mountain. And this message was to be passed also to the children of Israel. And you see what Jesus is saying? And you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. Is this not a good deal? This is a good deal, right? Is it not a good deal? Yes. God had a good plan that the children of Israel should be a holy nation, his own special people. If they keep, there was a condition, if they keep his covenant. Communicating hope in a digital world. You see, the tablets that we have, Sometimes we think we are the first people to own them, but not knowing that even long ago, many years ago, God himself inscribed his law on a stone tablet. He wrote his law on the tablets of stone, so that his people can always remember his character, his ways, so that they can live in harmony with the ways of heaven. Communicating in a digital world. Today, we are connected because of the internet. When we go to our homes, at least in every room, there's an internet connection. The schools that we teach, there's an internet connection. In this church, there's an internet. Probably that's why we are streaming the services online. But you see, instead of this technology connecting us as a family, it is disconnecting us at the same time. Because one friend, they are together in the same house with his wife, right? So the husband is sitting on the sitting room working on his assignments, and the wife is on the other room doing the other businesses. And you know what she does? She sends a message and she communicates to his husband. The gas is finished. The gas is finished. You know, the gas that we use at home. She doesn't come to the husband and tells my husband, no, I forgot to remind you yesterday that we don't have gas at the house. So what does she do? She writes a message and she said what? The gas has what? Has been finished. You see, there's an echo. You see, communication is meant to connect us together. But sometimes, I have an elder there at Lesa Hill, and he was reminding me that sometimes you can be having your children at home, and everyone is on the smartphone. Imagine you are talking to someone and is busy on his smartphone. What does that signal? Is not paying attention, right? Or is not it? Or if you come to, what kind of example can I use? If you come to maybe a church leader, let me say a church leader, can be anyone, and you want to express a message, right? And as you are talking to this leader, is busy looking on his phone while you are talking together. So you are expressing yourself, but he's busy on his phone. Busy on his phone. What will that tell you? He's not interested on what you are passing, right? So will you continue communicating? You will not bother continuing, right? Because the person that you are trying to communicate to is not interested in what you are saying. So communication, as we communicate to one another, we need to show interest to the person that we are passing the message to. So the Bible is saying in Exodus chapter 19, verse 4 to 6, that the children of Israel were to be a peculiar people, a holy nation, friends of God, but with the condition, if they kept his covenant. Ask your neighbor, have you kept the covenant with God? Or do you still keep the covenant with God? Because all of us here have a covenant with God. There is something we have communicated with God, and we agreed with God that God, I presented this prayer request to you. But you see, are you still faithful to the conditions of your prayer request? Ask your neighbor, are you still faithful to the conditions of your prayer request? Yes. Because as we communicate with God, it is required that we need to be faithful with the covenant. We need to be faithful with the agreement that we had with him. You see, children of God, when Moses was called to the mountain, there is a place that he could go with the children of Israel. And they, imagine there's a big mountain. There's a time we visited Mount Kenya. It is a big mountain. And there's a time I came close to Mount Kilimanjaro. Those are big mountains. Now we are talking about Mount Sinai. And you see SDS Sunshine. Most of you have gone for various maybe work, business, or trips. And you have visited some of these mountains. Biggest mountains. God is talking to Moses. A mountain. Mount Sinai. Big mountain. And there's a place he could go with the children of Israel. And they remain at the foot of the. And there's a place he could go with Aaron and Joshua. Listen very careful. When Moses was called by God to Mount Sinai, there's a place he could reach with the children of Israel. And he tells them, wait here. There's a place also he could move with Aaron and the elders, the 70 elders. And he tells them, you remain here. Wait for me here. I'm still on with the journey. There is another place he could reach and tells Joshua, wait for me here. And he goes further to the mountain. Some of the journey that you will make in life, you will not always need to move with people, with a crowd of people. There's some places that you will only need you and you yourself and God alone. When I learned about this secret, I stopped blaming people. I stopped complaining about people. Why are you so slow? Why have you made me to wait for you for 12 hours? Why have you made me to wait you for 2 years? Why have you made me to wait for you for 6 months? When I learned about this secret, that there are some places that we will need to travel alone with God, I stopped complaining. Imagine Moses is moving with the children of Israel. Church choir. And he reaches a point and he tells them, you wait. I am still moving forward. And you see, when Moses reached the mountain, I want us to read that point where verse 16. Let's read verse 16, Exodus 24 verse 16. Moses is in 9 now. Joshua has remained behind. The elders have remained behind. Aaron has remained behind. The children of Israel are there at the foot of the mountain. At the foot of the mountain. Moses is up there. Close to now at the mountain. Verse 16, the Bible says, Exodus 24 verse 16. Now the glory of the Lord rested on the Mount Sinai. And the cloud covered it 6 days. And on the 7th day, he called Moses out of the midst of the cloud. How many days did Moses wait for God to communicate? 6 days. 6 days. Spirit of prophecy says that this period, when Moses was waiting, he used that moment to intercede, to pray, to get closer to God in prayer, to pray for the children of Israel. 6 days remember, it is God who called Moses to climb the mountain. It is the same God who is making Moses for 6 days without saying anything. What a trying moment. What a moment of test. Why do we sometimes blame God for not answering our prayer? Because it has been 2 days, no communication, no sign of an answered prayer. Daniel chapter 10, how many days did he wait for a breakthrough? It was on the lesson. How many days? 21 days, 3 weeks, waiting. Moses was called by God. Same God makes him to wait 6 days. On the 7th day, on a Sabbath day like today, then God speaks from a cloud, a thick cloud. On the 7th day, it is when God is speaking. Tell your friend it's okay to wait. Wait upon God. It is okay to wait on God. It has been 6 years. You are still suffering. It has been 2 years. Same problem you are dealing with in your family. It has been 3 years for the sake of your children. Oh God, please remember me this year. Please remember me. The community is laughing at me. They are wondering, which God is this you're worshiping? And all these things is happening. Why? Which God is this? Why do you waste time going to church? And this God of yours is not helping you out. Why don't you use plan B? Using 1 Kings chapter 18, Mount Carmel, Elijah tells the people, the God who shall answer by fire, let him be God, the true God. The false prophet of Baal calls on their false gods. They cut themselves bleeding to the false god. No answer, no fire. And Elijah stands and says, God, after repairing the altar of God, let it be today be known among all these people that we still have a true living God who all the people should worship. Did God answer or not? God answered. So Jesus Christ, God is still in the business of answering our prayer when we communicate with him. How do we communicate with God? Through prayer. Let me tell you something. I was joining marathon. I did not have money. I only had 10,000 shillings. But God has called me to the ministry. So I prayed to God. God, you have called me to the ministry. Please reveal yourself by providing the resources that are needed. Marathon is very expensive. And I'm not afraid to say, even if my lecturer is there, my senior lecturer. Expensive. The cost is expensive, but the fruits are also good, right? After a while, battling with God in prayer, God gave me 150,000. So I was good to go. When I started, the journey started being difficult again. I could not register for a semester. But when I was on the verge of giving up, God also opens the doors of heaven. I register again. Recently, I had a challenge. I still needed to register. One elder, what I'm telling you, I've not even told Lay Sahil. Their time has not come. Tell your friend, their time has not come. This is the time of Seventh-day Adventist Church sunshine. One elder told me one Sabbath like this one, today we are going to my home. I told him I was supposed to attend a certain ordination of one of my in-law in church. Then I said, if this elder has said that we go to his home and we are planning to visit his home, I better go to this servant of God. So we went to his home. They welcomed him well. Is when I noticed that the wife did not come to church that Sabbath. She was not feeling well. So we prayed together with this family. We had lunch together. We communicated together. We enjoyed the Sabbath day. It's a day of daylight. It's a good Sabbath day. A day where we need to be happy. So we are very happy. Then they left me on one of the seats in the house. Elder went with his wife. I don't know what they went to do. Then they came out. They called me, Pastor, please come. Then I joined them at the sitting. Then elder gave me a white envelope. And when I touched the envelope, you know, you can feel, those people who know money, you can feel there's a feeling you have when you touch a lot of money. There's a feeling like this cannot be 2,000. This is a lot of money. And that is exactly the same feeling I had. So I praised God there. I really thanked God. And I appreciate it. I told them, thank you so much. You are the people of God. God has used me, to bless the ministry of Jesus Christ in my life. We prayed together and we left to church. I've not even opened the envelope. In the evening, we went to visit a certain church member. I don't know if I did the wrong thing, but I opened that envelope. You know, he didn't tell me that you go and pay. Of course, he saw the need. I opened that envelope. I took 1,000 shillings. I didn't count how much it was. Tell your friend, I didn't count how much it was. You people, I'll stop telling you now this story. Tell your friend, I didn't count how much it was. So I took 1,000 shillings from the envelope. And we bought some milk. We bought some bread to go and visit that what? Church member. I'm one of them who believes when we go to visit people, at least take something. All right? So the following day, I said, I need to find out what is this thing I'm carrying all through. So I prayed and I opened. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 99,000. Wow! So this must be 100 what? 1,000 shillings. You see, 100,000 in some church is money you can call church members to fundraise, and still they don't even get closer to it, right? One person does a work that could have been done with a multitude of people. I'm telling you, I cried for what God has done. Wait upon God. Communicate with God through prayer. Let me tell you something. In the book of Exodus, there is a period also Moses had to wait on God for 40 days and 40 nights. There's something I forgot to tell you. This is very important. When Moses was on the mountain for those first 6 days, he was praying and fasting. Aaron, Joshua, they were drinking and eating. Moses was doing what? Fasting and what? And praying. There's a period also Moses had to wait on God for 40 days and 40 nights. Praying, fasting, interceding, communicating with God through prayer. Joshua, eating and what? Drinking. Tell your friend it's okay to fast sometimes. Yeah, some churches have gone, they fast every first Sabbath of the month. Praying and calling on God in unity. Some families fast. I know of a professor who every Thursday is a fasting day to meet with God in prayer. You can fast from serving the internet. You can fast from, doing some things that you used to do. Some fast from food. Some fast from, all manner of things. So that time they used to do those things, they can use them now to communicate with God through prayer. 40 days, 40 nights. Moses fasting in the mountain, waiting on God to say something. Children of God, there is a problem here. Tell your friend there is a problem here. And you know what is the problem? When you get to Exodus chapter 32. Now when the people saw that Moses delayed coming down from the mountain, the people gathered together to Aaron and say to him, "Come, make us gods that shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him." People got tired. Tell your friend, people sometimes get tired. They get tired of you. When you call them, you find that the number cannot be reached anymore. When you need them most at the hospital bed, they don't show up. Strangers come to pray with you. When you wait for them to help you pay for school fees or for the school fees of your children, they don't come through. Recently I was traveling to Kisii, from Baraton to Kisii. And I was in the vehicle with one man. One of the man it is a vehicle that had so many people that there's one we sat closer. And as we were interacting, knowing each other, when we reached to a level where now I had to open that I'm a pastor, he told me, even before you told me, through your interaction, I perceived you must be an Adventist. Tell your friend, sometimes when we call, people know that we are Adventists, even without telling them. Hey, tell your friend, when we communicate with people, tell your friend, when we communicate with people, sometimes they perceive we are Adventists, even without mentioning the name Adventist. Yes, this man was telling me that I've helped so many people. I've helped so many people to start businesses. And when I look at them, they are going very well. Recently, I helped one young man. And today, his business is doing so well. But no one is appreciating me. I've helped so many people. They have built houses. They have bought properties. But mine seem to be struggling. Yet, I've been the teacher of helping them to open businesses. So I look at this man and told him, it is okay. Men not to appreciate you. But allow God at least to appreciate you. Praise the Lord, church. Because when God appreciates you, His blessings, they are there to stay for a longer time. But when men appreciate you, sometimes they are not genuine. Tell your friends, sometimes they are not genuine. Do you know in communication, someone can be smiling at your face when inside is like, "Ugh!" Allow God to appreciate you. So he told me that it's true. Let God appreciate me. Because when I look at them, though I've helped them and they have opened businesses and their business is doing so well, their children, something looks like it is missing somewhere. Then he started counting. You know, my children, God has enabled me. They have gone to school. Recently, one graduated. Recently, one secured a job. Then I told him, look at God. You are busy complaining that your business is not doing well and your children are doing well. What's wrong with you? The book of Exodus, when you read verse 2, 32 verse 2, Exodus chapter 32 verse 2, the Bible says, and Aaron said to them, break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives, your sons, your daughters, and bring them to me. You know, when Aaron told them to put off their golden earrings, naturally, Aaron thought that they will not sacrifice. They will not go to such an extent of sacrificing golden earrings just to make a golden calf. But do you know what? The people removed their golden earrings and they gave them to Aaron. And what did Aaron do? He made a golden calf. Suddenly, there was dancing. There was music. People started paying homage to an idol. But what was the covenant with the children of Israel with God? What was the covenant? To remain faithful. To keep following his law. They are a holy nation, a special people, a treasure chosen so that they can be a light to the world. Tell your friend, we are the light of the world. And that is why our key text, 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 2 to 3 was saying, we are epistles. We are supposed to be read by all men. We are read by how we live. We are read by how we communicate. We are read by how we go about our businesses. We are read everything about us. We are supposed to be read. And so if we are supposed to be read, what message are the people taking out of the letter that is in you? Because the message that they should pick from us is about Jesus Christ. That so and so is a son of God. So and so is a daughter of God. So and so truly is serving the true living God. People of God, in this Exodus chapter 32, when Moses came closer, and even before he came closer, when Moses is busy at the mountain, God told him in verse 8, in verse 7 actually, go get down. Exodus 32 verse 7. Go do what? Go do what? Go do what? Go get down. So when Aaron was busy building a golden calf, it's not like it was like God was closing his eyes. He was seeing everything. But he waited for that to continue for a while, until it boiled and God could not handle it anymore. He said to Moses, go down. Because the people, your people, God does not recognize them as his people anymore. He tells Moses, your people who you brought out of Egypt, they have forgotten our covenant. They are worshiping an idol. You need to go down. And when Moses came down, and as they continued getting closer to the camp, Music was heard. And what did Joshua do? Joshua told Moses, an enemy is fighting the people of what? Joshua thought that it is the enemy that has gotten inside the camp. But it was not an enemy. It is the children of Israel dancing to the golden calf. They have forgotten God who brought them out of Egypt. Ask your friend, how many times have you forgotten God? Just yesterday, you were communicating with God in prayer. But today, you've forgotten about Him. Today, you have forgotten totally about God. You are doubting about His promises. You are doubting the word of God. You don't believe in God anymore. Just because your prayers seem to be delayed in being answered. The children of Israel about God. And when Moses saw the people of Israel worshiping an idol, his anger was very, very furious. It was very hot. And he threw the tablets that contained the law of God down. And it crashed, signifying that the way that the children of Israel have forgotten God, God has also done what? Forgotten them. And God told Moses, I'm going to destroy these people. But because Moses kind of saw the result of sin, he pleaded with God on behalf of Israel. He told God, these are your people. These are your people that you brought from Egypt. If you kill them, the nations will be laughing at you. They will be laughing at Jehovah. He brought them out of Egypt to the wilderness just to kill them. Look at him. So God reasoned with Moses and he forgave the children of Israel. Not one time, not two times, not three times, many times. Many times. Ask your friend, how many times has God forgiven you? Even this morning, God forgave you. Even as I'm speaking, God is still forgiving you. Even afternoon, God will still forgive you. There is that grace. Tell your friend, grace is undeserved favor. How many times have we gone against the law of God? But God has forgiven us. Because His goodness, because of His goodness, because of His mercy, because of His love. To thousands and thousands of generations, He shows mercy. Tell your friend, today I forgive you. Tell your friend, today I forgive you. What did you do to your friend? Second Corinthians chapter 3 verse 2 and 3. You are our epistle written in our hearts, known and read by all men. So the question is, when someone who has never come to Adventist church, when they look at you, what message they pick? Verse 3, clearly, you are an epistle of Christ, ministered by us, written not with ink, but by the Spirit of the living God. Not on the tablets of stone, but on the tablets of flesh, that is of the heart. In the ancient times, God's law was inscribed by his finger on stone tablets. Israel broke that covenant. And so in Hebrews chapter 8, the book of Hebrews chapter 8, now God comes and says, that law, Jesus reminds us that that law now, verse 10, for this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. Hebrews 8:10, this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, says the Lord, I will put my laws in their mind and write them on their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. So in the New Testament now, by his own making, God has written his law in our heart. Even before you go against his law, your conscience will always tell you that this is against. This is against. There is a spirit, there is a still small voice which will tell you the route you are taking. That's not the way. Going to visit a witchcraft? No. That's not the way of God. There is a still small voice which will always speak to you before you step into the wrong thing. God is always looking for us. He looked for the Israel. He forgave them. He called them to be his holy, special people. Today, in our modern world, the age of communicating hope through digital means, media, you can actually send a message and tell someone somewhere there, God loves you. And it speaks to their heart. You can actually send a WhatsApp Bible verse and it blesses people. You can actually use the platform that God has given you to put a very good evangelistic campaign here, in-house, and you preach online. An evangelistic campaign to bless God's people. There are places that the message through SD Sunshine never read before Corona. Did you start streaming after Corona or before Corona? Or in between Corona? Or you started a long time ago? A long time ago. After Corona. Tell your friend, thank God for Corona. So as much as it was bad, God also, through his own ways, a way that he wanted his message to be communicated. You remember when it was, I don't know how many meters away? Meters or centimeters. So there's a time one chair was here and the other chair was here. There's a time which you could not greet each other. There's a time you could not embrace each other hugging. But God is good all the time. And all the time, God is good. Let us use this platform that God has given us to bless his people all over this community and beyond. To Nairobi, to Tanzania, to the US, all corners of the continent of Africa, globally. And I thank God. Very soon, I will not be surprised if one person can support the Church of God, like Seventh-day Adventist Church Sunshine. You can actually, people have blessed you. You can say, no. We have camera. Since Corona, we only have one camera. So when the speaker goes this direction, we only have one camera. Why don't we have another camera the other side? We also have the other camera on the other side. When the speaker faces this side, there is still communication. When he faces this side, there is still communication. One person can do that. Another person can say, I don't like the way our pulpit is. We need to have enough those, how do we call that, is it curtains or what? You know, those long